For any true Pan-African, this isn't just an interesting time. It's the most powerful era to be alive. After decades of watching Africa's wealth drain away while its people remained in poverty, something is finally shifting. The winds are changing. A new wave of leadership is rising, one that refuses to bow to old colonial systems or corrupt foreign deals. Yes, some African leaders are still stuck in the past, chasing foreign approval, signing one-sided agreements, and watching their countries sink deeper into dependency. But then there are leaders like those of the AES Confederation, men who've decided enough is enough. They're not waiting for permission. They're building a new Africa from the ground up. Take Mali, for example. In the face of sanctions, criticism, and international pressure, Colonel Assimi Goita is forging his own path. And his latest move? It's nothing short of historic. With the help of Russia, Mali has officially begun constructing its very first gold refinery. Think about that. For a country that's long been one of Africa's biggest gold producers, this is a game changer. This refinery isn't just about industry, it's about independence. For decades, Mali has exported raw gold only to import finished products at a premium. That cycle ends now. By refining its own gold, Mali takes one massive step toward reclaiming control over its natural resources and its economic future. This project is more than bricks and machinery. It's a symbol, a statement, that Mali will no longer be a passive player in its own economy. In today's video, we're diving deep into this bold move, what it means for Mali, for Africa, and for every nation daring to break free from the chains of exploitation. In January 2024, something unusual happened in West Africa. Mali quietly signed a deal with Russia, a contract to build a brand new gold refinery right in the heart of its capital, Bamako. The announcement came not with fanfare, but through a national interview with the Minister of Economy and Finance, Alousseni Sanou, on ORTM. At the time, there was no official timeline, no start date, just a promise. But now, more than a year later, that promise is becoming real. The government of Mali has officially launched construction on the refinery. It's happening, and it's happening with the support of a Russian company called Yardran Group. But here's where things take a surprising turn. You see, when foreign powers, be it the West, Russia, or even China, team up with African nations, the pattern is painfully predictable. The foreign country gets the lion's share of control. Take Congo, for example. When it partnered with Russia to build an oil pipeline, the result was staggering. Russia walked away with 90% ownership. Congo, just 10%. And unfortunately, that's not an exception. That's the norm. But Mali did something different. This time, the deal doesn't follow the script, and what they negotiated might just rewrite the rules of foreign investment in Africa. Stay with us, because what comes next could reshape not just Mali's economy, but the future of African resource control. Unlike the typical lopsided deals we've seen across the continent, this gold refinery project between Mali and Russia flips the script. According to Mali's Minister of Economy and Finance, Alousseni Sanou, Mali will hold a commanding 62% stake in the enterprise, officially named Saroma SA. The remaining 38%? That goes to the Russian company, Yardran Group. This isn't just unusual, it's groundbreaking, because what this deal truly reflects is a shift in mindset, a new kind of leadership, one that no longer settles for crumbs while outsiders feast. It's the vision of Colonel Assimi Goita in action, a determination to reclaim Mali's resources and put national interest first. This is the kind of partnership Africa has long deserved, one where sovereignty isn't sacrificed in the name of development. Even though the financing comes entirely from the foreign partner, Mali still walks away with majority control, because at the end of the day, it's Malian gold, it's Malian land, and it should be Malian wealth. The refinery itself will be built near Bamako Airport, covering 5 hectares of land. But this isn't just about real estate, it's about scale. Once completed, the facility will refine up to 200 metric tons of gold annually. That's 4 times the current national capacity of 50 metric tons. This isn't just an economic boost, it's a statement. Mali's National Transitional Council officially approved the equity plan on the 12th, signaling unified political support. The refinery will also help small-scale miners meet new regulations under Mali's revised mining code. At the groundbreaking ceremony, Colonel Goita stood before his people and made it clear, this refinery is just the beginning. All mining companies operating in Mali will soon be required to refine their gold domestically. No more raw exports, no more wealth drained offshore. This is a bold push to build an economy that finally serves its own people. But the real question is, why now? Why has Mali decided to build a gold refinery at this moment in history? The answer lies deep beneath the soil and in the story of who controls it. Like many African nations, Mali is blessed with extraordinary mineral wealth. Gold in particular is more than just a natural resource. It's the backbone of the Malian economy. Just like its neighbor Burkina Faso, Mali has long relied on gold as both a source of revenue and a pillar of economic stability. And the numbers speak for themselves. In 2022 alone, Mali produced over 72 tons of gold. 6 of those came from artisanal miners working in often difficult and dangerous conditions. Gold is Mali's lifeline. It makes up nearly a quarter of the country's mineral resources and places Mali among the top gold producers in all of Africa. But here's the issue. Despite sitting on this mountain of wealth, Mali doesn't control the mountain. The economy remains dangerously dependent on gold, yet most of the profits don't stay within its borders. Manganese and lithium, 2 other critical minerals for the global energy transition, exist in abundance but remain largely untapped. So gold remains king. And yet, the throne is occupied by foreign giants. According to former Minister of Mines, Lamine Seydou Traoré, gold makes up a staggering 25% of the national budget, 75% of Mali's exports, and 10% of its GDP. But who really benefits? Not Malians. The mining sector is dominated by powerful foreign companies. Canada's B2 Gold, which holds the largest share, Barrick Gold, Australia's Resolute Mining, and Britain's Hummingbird Resources. These companies have continued to dig and profit, even in the face of political unrest and a growing militant insurgency. They've weathered every storm, because for them, the gold is too good to leave behind. So Mali had to act, not just to produce gold, but to own the process, to stop exporting raw value and start building real wealth. And that's exactly what this refinery aims to do. But for all of Mali's gold, tons of it, buried deep beneath its soil, there has always been one glaring absence: a globally recognized, certified refinery. Yes, Mali already has 2 local facilities, but neither of them meets the rigorous standards set by international bodies like the London Bullion Market Association. That means no global certification, no high-purity refining, no access to the premium international gold markets. And the result? Mali's gold, its most valuable resource, has been exported raw for over 4 decades. Since 1980, Malian gold has been shipped out unprocessed to countries like the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and Switzerland. Mali does the digging, but other nations reap the final profits. Colonel Assimi Goita has called this out for what it is: a massive economic loss. Speaking bluntly, he said this refinery marks a turning point. By producing gold with a purity of 99.5%, in line with international certification standards, Mali is not just increasing revenue, it's reclaiming dignity. The country will no longer be forced to send away its raw wealth and buy it back at inflated prices. That cycle ends here. But there's more to this story than economics. According to Goita, the refinery will also help Mali better trace its gold, monitoring how it's mined, moved, and exported. Because right now, the country is losing billions to gold smuggling. Entire shipments vanish across borders, untaxed, unrecorded, untracked. And this illicit gold trade? It's not just a corruption issue, it's a security threat. Across the Sahel, unregulated gold has become one of the biggest sources of funding for armed groups. Militants profit from what should be national wealth, fueling violence, terrorism, and instability in the region. The refinery will enable Mali to better track its gold production and exports, Goita declared. We must end the era where our wealth vanishes unaccounted for. This refinery, then, is more than a facility. It's a front line in the battle for economic sovereignty and national security. Clearly, the authorities in Mali are no longer playing games. This refinery isn't a symbolic gesture. It's part of a larger, calculated shift. A shift led by Colonel Assimi Goita to take back what rightfully belongs to Mali, because this refinery is not the beginning of his reforms, it's just the latest chapter. Before Goita came to power, the balance of power in Mali's mining sector was completely lopsided. Foreign companies held 80% of the stake in nearly every mining project. 80%. Meanwhile, the government and local investors combined held just 20%. Can you imagine that? The gold belonged to Mali, but the profits didn't. Even worse, these foreign corporations, who already controlled the lion's share, were granted sweeping tax exemptions. Why? Because of the insecurity in the country. The previous governments believed that waiving taxes would convince foreign companies to stay, despite the threat of insurgency. And so, billions in gold left the country untaxed. This wasn't just poor policy, it was economic surrender. And Mali is not alone. Across Africa, tax exemptions have become the go-to tool for attracting foreign companies. Leaders hope it will bring investment, jobs, and infrastructure. But more often than not, it simply opens the floodgates for exploitation. Foreign companies come in, extract the wealth, and leave the people behind. So who really wins? The answer, sadly, is no one. These deals may bring short-term stability, but in the long run, they rob nations of the very wealth they need to grow. The truth is, the cost of foreign control far outweighs the benefits, and it's one of the key reasons why many African countries remain underdeveloped, despite being rich in resources. But that's a conversation for another day. Back in Mali, things are changing. Goita is rewriting the rules, raising national stakes, ending tax holidays for foreign giants, and through projects like the Soroma Gold Refinery, he's taking one powerful step after another to reclaim Mali's economic destiny. When Colonel Assimi Goita took power in 2020, he made one thing very clear. Like his Burkinabe counterpart Ibrahim Traoré, sovereignty wasn't just a slogan, it was the mission. And for Mali, sovereignty meant starting with the mining sector, the very heart of the economy, and the deepest wound in its financial system. Goita looked at the numbers. The government's stake in Mali's gold projects was just 20%. The rest, an overwhelming 80%, was controlled by foreign corporations. Companies that came in, dug up the gold, and sent the profits elsewhere. So in August 2023, he made a bold move. He signed a new mining code into law. This wasn't just legislative reform, it was a shot across the bow. Under the new code, government and local investor ownership can now rise to 35%. That's a 15% shift in power, back into Malian hands. And it couldn't have come at a more urgent time, because what triggered this reform was a bombshell revelation, a shortfall in national mining revenue. Mali's finance minister, Alousseni Sanou, exposed the shocking gap, somewhere between $497 million and $995 million missing from the books. Gone, diverted, unaccounted for. Almost $1 billion, money that should have gone into hospitals, roads, schools, infrastructure, was instead funneled into the pockets of foreign corporations. Sanou didn't mince words. He said the government would renegotiate what is renegotiable and recover what is recoverable. And with negotiations already underway, Mali hopes to regain between 300 to 400 billion CFA francs. That's hundreds of millions of dollars that rightfully belong to the people. It makes you wonder, how is it that Mali, one of Africa's richest gold producers, still ranks among the poorest nations on earth? How long can these foreign companies be allowed to stay when their presence bleeds the economy dry? These aren't just policy questions. They are questions of justice, of dignity, of survival. And now, under Goita's leadership, Mali is finally asking those questions out loud. Mali's gold wasn't just slipping through the cracks, it was being deliberately rerouted. According to Mali's mining minister, Amadou Keita, the losses to the state didn't come from poor management or bad luck. They came from a clever loophole used by the mining companies themselves. Instead of processing their gold in taxable mines, these companies transported the raw ore to tax-exempt sites, locations where they could refine the gold without paying a single franc in taxes. It was legal, but it was robbery in broad daylight. For years, this tactic allowed billions to quietly escape Mali's tax net. Money that could have built a nation, instead funneled into foreign bank accounts. But that era is coming to an end. With the new mining code in place, these practices are being shut down. No more exploiting loopholes, no more tax-free gold processing, and no more mining licenses granted in the shadows. According to Keita, the reforms will go even further. The issuance of mining titles, once vulnerable to corruption and backroom deals, will now be subject to stricter oversight. From now on, every mining title will require signatures from several key ministries, including the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Mines, and the Ministry of Environment. It's a move toward transparency, toward accountability, toward sovereignty. For decades, Mali's gold was managed in darkness. Now, it's being brought into the light. For Mali's economy minister, Alousseni Sanou, the new mining code isn't just a legal reform, it's an economic revolution. According to his projections, the implementation of this code could boost the national budget by up to 500 billion CFA francs. That's roughly $820 million. In a country that has long struggled with poverty despite its resource wealth, this isn't just progress. It's a lifeline. The code is designed to do more than just increase revenue. It will elevate mining's contribution to Mali's GDP from the current 10% to as much as 15 to 20%. Under the new structure, the government will automatically hold a 10% equity stake in all new mining projects, with the option to acquire an additional 20% within the first 2 years of commercial production. That's a potential 30% ownership in future gold ventures, finally putting Mali at the decision-making table. And it doesn't stop there. The new code also opens the door for Mali's private sector to claim up to 5% ownership in mining projects, building local wealth and capacity. Perhaps most importantly, it removes the tax exemptions that foreign mining companies have long enjoyed during operations. For years, these exemptions drained Mali's economy. Now, they're being erased. This bold shift aligns Mali with a growing trend among resource-rich nations, especially in Africa, who are tired of being spectators while foreign corporations grow rich from their land. Countries hit by global shocks and economic volatility are starting to assert more control over their mineral sectors. Mali is no longer an exception. It's becoming a leader, and the results are already showing. Earlier this year, Minister Sanou stood before Parliament with news that stunned many. In December alone, Mali received 500 billion CFA francs from mining corporations after renegotiations. The payments were made in full before March 31st, 2025. Real money, real impact. For the first time in decades, the system started to work in Mali's favor, and the restructuring hasn't stopped there. In one of the boldest moves yet, Mali took over control of the Loulo-Gounkoto gold mine, previously owned by Canadian giant Barrick Gold. The reason? Barrick refused to comply with the new mining code. So Mali responded, swiftly, decisively, because this is no longer the Mali of old. This is a new era, one where the country no longer begs for crumbs while others feast, one where Mali takes control of its gold, its resources, and its destiny. While Mali's bold push to reclaim its gold has sent shockwaves through foreign investor circles, the truth is simple. These reforms are not for the comfort of outsiders. They are for the people of Mali. And if foreign companies don't like it, they are more than welcome to pack up and leave. This is precisely why the gold refinery matters so much. It's not just about Mali. It's about breaking a regional curse. West Africa is a global gold powerhouse, producing over 400 tons every year across Mali, Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. Yet not a single country in the region has a fully functional, internationally certified gold refinery. That means the most valuable step in the supply chain, refining, is outsourced. The wealth leaves, the power leaves, and what's left behind? Raw exports and missed opportunity. Attempts to change this have come and gone. Ghana's long-delayed refinery project, once seen as a potential game-changer, has yet to fully materialize. But now, Mali's partnership with Russia may be the turning point. According to Irek Salikov, president of Russia's Yardran Group, this refinery won't just serve Mali. It will become a regional hub, processing gold not only from Mali, but also from neighboring countries like Burkina Faso. A gold revolution, centered in Bamako. What's happening in Mali is part of something bigger, a regional awakening across the Sahel, especially among the AES alliance, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where leaders are rewriting the rules of engagement with the rest of the world. In Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traoré recently seized control of 5 gold mines that had been under Western control for years. In Niger, The government kicked out French uranium giant Orano after decades of unchecked extraction that brought almost no benefit to the population. This is no longer about reform, it's about reclamation, and Mali's refinery is a symbol of that. A message that Africa is done giving away its wealth for free. The current wave sweeping across the Sahel of nationalizing resources and reclaiming control is not just necessary, it's the model every African country should follow. For too long, Africa has been the world's raw material warehouse, exporting gold, oil, cocoa, cobalt, and rare earths, only to buy them back at 10 times the price once they've been processed abroad. This cycle has kept the continent rich in resources, but poor in power. That era must end. Africa cannot build its future by remaining a supplier of raw goods. The path forward is clear. Value must be added at home. Processing must happen on African soil. Jobs, industries, and innovation must be created not in Europe or Asia, but in Dakar, Kinshasa, Bamako, Abidjan, and beyond. Just imagine it. Imagine if the Democratic Republic of Congo, home to some of the richest deposits of cobalt, tantalum, tin, and uranium, had the facilities to develop its own minerals. How different would life look for its people? How much stronger would its economy be? Or take Ivory Coast, the world's top cocoa producer. What if, instead of sending raw beans to Europe, it produced finished chocolate bars, cocoa butter, and consumer goods at home? What if the profits, the branding, the wealth stayed in Africa? The transformation would be massive, structural, generational. There is no question anymore. Africa needs to start processing its own resources. And the good news? That shift has already begun. Mali is building a refinery. Burkina Faso is reclaiming its gold. Niger has kicked out exploiters. Across the Sahel, leaders are tearing up unfair contracts, rewriting mining laws, and standing up for sovereignty. This is Africa's moment. And if more nations follow this path, if more leaders choose dignity over dependency, the continent won't just rise. It will redefine global power. In 2015, Robert Mugabe warned that Africa would never progress while exporting raw materials. Years later, leaders like Ghana's Nana Akufo-Addo and Tanzania's government have turned those words into action, banning raw exports, enforcing local gold processing, and generating billions in national revenue. Across the continent, a new wave of resource nationalism is rising. Countries like Mali, Ghana, and Tanzania are rewriting the rules, ensuring their minerals build African economies, not foreign ones. For Mali, the gold refinery marks more than industrial progress. It's a symbol of sovereignty, a chance to transform how West Africa manages its gold, not just for export, but for real development. Africa is waking up, and if more nations follow this path, the continent won't just participate in the global economy, it will start leading it. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.